Hi, my name is Chuck Odraska. I'll be doing my presentation on Blinky Lights network monitoring with Arduino. It was presented at DEF CON 19. Um, the guy who presented it was Steve Osipek. If you want to follow him on Twitter, his handle is @NoSteve. Um, he's the Director of Security Research for TrustWave. He loves security and watching Blinky Lights. That's why he kind of did this. And also loves pinball and gin. So if you see him, you can hit him up on those two subjects as well. The author really doesn't talk about what an Arduino is, so I thought I'd throw that in here as well. Um, it's just a piece of hardware that helps take your software from your computer and give those instructions to things like LEDs and servo motors. You'll hear it called a microcontroller. There's actually lots of microcontrollers out there. The reason people use the Arduino is because it's just much easier to use. It's packaged tightly with a programming language that's simple to pick up. There's lots of examples out there. It was really made for beginners or teachers to use it for teaching examples. So if you're looking to do some kind of hardware-based programming, I'd look at it. It's pretty easy to pick up. I've done some stuff with it before. And it has both digital and analog inputs and outputs. You can see it says digital right here. I believe there's something like 14 digital inputs slash outputs, and then 6 analog inputs right here. A couple other things he talks about is he also used something called a colored Arduino and a colored shield. The shields are kind of like I'd relate them to like browsers and their plugins. It's something just to extend the Arduino's power. In this case, this color shield mounts on top of your Arduino, and then on top of that, you put this thing called a color Arduino, which all that is a LED matrix. So it's just a bunch of LED lights hooked up together, and between those two things, it makes it really easy to control how those light up and basically give that instructions. So then the author starts off his talk just kind of talking about why this could be useful um, about monitoring your network. So he talks about monitoring should be your first step in a security plan, and pretty much what he means by that is knowing what your boxes are doing. You see all these blinky lights. Well, what does that mean? What is actually going on in the box, and how can you know that? So being able to monitor your box kind of just means knowing what your box is doing. If you don't know what your box is doing, you don't know what a baseline is, so you don't know if it's getting attacked or things like that. He also kind of goes into he used to watch, like a modem light or something, but because we have so much traffic over the internet now and things like that, your activity light for that kind of stuff is always on. So he just kind of wanted a different light, some kind of blinking light to tell him what was going on. He thought about, some kind of widget on the monitor or something in a, web application that would spout out information with lights or something like that of different colors. But he just decided, your monitor is for other things. It's for, you know, uh, going to web pages and things like that. That you can't always have it on that monitoring system that you created. So, you know, he looked around his desk and he had all these little USB dongles or different things like Woot lights and things like that, that plug in. So he thought, why not just create something like that? That was just a bunch of, LEDs or something that blinked and said, glowed red when you're under attack or something like that. Um, Also, he brings a lot of um, papers that say pretty much that when you see these drastic changes in your environment, in your physical environment, things that change color, things like that, you're really drawn to them. He just kind of talks about that to make his work more legitimized, he brings in some science to enlighten you. So now I'll kind of get into what this guy's demo was. he showed two different modes for this. One was being able to track the country code from just web traffic. So when you went to a website, it would pop up a color. And he said he didn't really have like a listing of what the colors were because of some of the limitations of the hardware. But anyway, like in this case, green was US, blue was like United Kingdom, things like that. And that's he didn't know the colors because he actually threw it into a random function that was seeded to whatever that country code was, I believe he said. So it always came out the same, but it's so he didn't have to store a listing of the country and the country codes. But that's one of them. Just web traffic and the country code that came along with it would pop up with a certain color on the board, and I'll show you a video of that one. And then just different types of traffic. He picked like 8 different things like DNS and web and SSH and things like that, and tracked them on the board as well. Again, I'll show you another video, and try to explain what's going on. So here's just a look at it running. This is the country code one. You can see some lights here. Right now he just has a bunch of web sessions open. These are all websites in the United States. That's why all the LEDs are the same color. You can see some of the lights dropping out. It's because the session's closed on the websites that he's connected to. And so now it's just the one session he has open. And now you can start seeing these blue lights pop up intermixed with these green ones. That's because he went to, I believe it was the BBC. You can see, these blue lights mixed with these green. The blue ones mean their country code was from the United Kingdom. And I mean, these can pop up from anything from advertisements, things like that, so that's why they're probably intermixed, things like that. And it's just a way to see what you're connecting to, things like that. Then we'll look at the different traffic ones here in a bit. So here's the other one where it's based on just a bunch of different traffic like DNS and things like that. You can see it going. He's doing some different stuff. I believe like the red lights are DNS, the blue one is like web traffic, the green one next to that is like remote sessions, so things like SSH and RDP. I believe one of these is something to do with like authorization, so like a Kerberos token or something like that. And some of these down here are just ports that are under 10,000 and ports that are over 10,000. So right now he's just doing different stuff like browsing the web. You'll see the screen will pop up when he RDPs into a different computer. Trying to think. He also talks about like Skype and things like that. I believe when he does the Skype one, the purple will pop up. So you can like, even off this, you can kind of tell when he changes web pages just because of the red and blue go up because it's using DNS to get the name of the website, and it's using the blue to obviously use HTTP. Let's see. Oh yeah, that little blip right there, that was probably him RDPing. If you saw the green go up. And you can see the purple now, that's Skype. So we'll watch one more. It's more relevant, just he actually port scans himself. And this is like, oh, there's something going wrong and it's easy to tell type of deal. So we'll go watch that now. So now we'll look at him run the scan against himself and map scan. He's just going to scan all his ports. And you can see right away that these last two rows of lights go up right away. Like I said, I believe one of these is just the ports under 10,000. You'll see like the blue will pop up. So that was probably like port 80 getting scanned. And you'll see it actually pop up again. That might have been 443, things like that, like HTTPS. So, like, if you had this on your desk, you could obviously be like, something is not right because this whole row of lights has not gone down in the last, second. Like, pretty good example just of one way this could be used. Probably his best example. He also talks about that, these are just examples he has. You could obviously make this do different things, light up for different reasons. He's just trying to show, use his favorite thing, blinky lights, to help him monitor the network. He was open to suggestions for other things that could be shown on that little matrix. So if you have ideas, go ahead and send it to him. I'm sure he'd be happy to hear them. I forgot I had one more video. So after he ran that nmap scan against himself, he went back and he said, well, let's make it more obvious. So if it notices that you're getting port scan, it'll actually come up with this now. That's what he changed his code to do. A frowny face with this psychedelic background. So if you saw this show up, you'd be like, oh, I'm getting port scanned. So I thought that was kind of neat. So some of the issues he ran into that he talked about was low memory in general, but especially low dynamic memory available to him off the hardware. So Arduino only has like 2K of SRAM, so that's the dynamic memory you can use. And passing all this information into it, he had to have minimal retention, so it dropped whatever it didn't need right away. You couldn't hold on to it for too long. And being able to pass all that entering data that's right now, not 2 seconds ago. And kind of how to pass that data, here's just a little example. It's just these 5 things separated by commas. The first one's the command option. It's either going to be a 1 or a 2. 1's open, 2's closed. The next thing is the MAC address. And then after that comes the IP address in hex and the port number in hex, and then the country code. And he just mentioned that how to pass this data, he had to come up with something, and this is what he finally came up with as the easiest and fastest that he could work into it. To give you a look at the some of the code he used. This is setting an LAD. He actually uses a library that someone else made. It's made by Link-O-Matic. It's just this color library. Gives you the ability to easily set pixels or set your LEDs to a certain color. In this case, there's 2 ways to do it. You can either do this colorduino.setPixel. You can tell it on the, so we have the 8x8 board, so this would be pixel 38, row, column, and then these last 3 are red, green, blue. So we're setting the pixel blue in this case because we have a 255 in the blue. And I believe the flip page actually just refreshes it to allow it to do it. This is using pointers to do the same thing. He gets the pixel at 3.8, points to the red, puts a 0, points to the green, 0, blue, 255. And he says down here you can increment through the LEDs after you set this one. And then how he actually, this is his parser. So I showed you how he passes in things, how he passes in the commands, and the IP and the country code. And this is just his way to process it. It actually comes in, and you can see this is actually just C, um, getting ASCII values for certain things. So it's numbers, A through F, maybe. What is that? Capital letters? I don't know. So there's things like that. If you're wondering what that looked like at all. And finally, just a summary of this. Why did I choose this talk? And, the blinky lights caught my attention too. I thought, what is this? Looked it over. Thought it was a creative way to, you know, monitor your network. Also, I have an Arduino, so I actually tried ordering stuff and getting some of the demo stuff to work, but I never got the color shield and color Arduino in time. So unfortunately, I didn't get to play around with that yet, but I probably will in this coming week as soon as it gets here. Then what was the point? Like I said, I thought it was just a creative new way to monitor your network. It kind of goes into Wireshark isn't for monitoring, it's for analyzing data. So, plus you don't always with Wireshark know what's going on even when you see it. This you can easily say, oh, this light's going up. I know what that light means. That light means, in the one case it was country code. Oh, I know I'm getting packets from China. I don't want packets from China. Red light, things like that. Just a easy, simple way to monitor network without having to know too much. I guess is kind of how he explained it. Just catch your eye right away. Finally, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the overview of this talk. Definitely, if this interests you at all, I suggest you go listen to Steve's talk. Definitely a lot funnier than what mine was. So if you're interested at all, definitely go check that out. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and post on the discussion board, try to answer them. Pretty much my two sources, the Arduino site and Steve's talk. Hope you enjoyed.